Okay, I wanted to give you 5 countries where 2000 a month lets you retire in style. This came out from Daily Motivation News, but there were some things they left out on the cost factor, which could end up costing you 10, 20, 50 times more than what they listed here. And I see this all the time on these ratings on places that are cheapest places to live. And they never ever take in consideration taxes. And most of the people that look at our channel anyway are high net worth people. And I mean, these $2,000 a month expenses they're talking about, when you bring taxes into the situation, you could be looking at $20, $30, $100,000 a month in extra amount. And they're talking about on top of the $2,000 a month here. So you really need to be looking at not just taxes, but other things too that I'm going to go over with you. But again, these were 5 countries where $2,000 a month lets you retire in style. Now, it was talking about here, have you ever daydreamed about sipping coffee by a sunlit balcony in a foreign land free from the 9-to-5 grind? And then it talked about here that the idea of retiring abroad on a modest budget generally excites this person that wrote the article. And, they're talking about as low as $2,000 a month. And, that's pretty cheap if it was just that, okay, and you didn't take anything else in consideration like taxes. And that's a big thing that you're going to have to look at. But they went on to say that it might sound unrealistic at first, but there are actually quite a few places in the world where you can live well on that amount. Now, they're talking about a comfortable apartment, fresh groceries, health care that doesn't break the bank, and maybe a night or two out each week. Now, they went on to say that below that they would share 5 countries that offer this mix of affordability and quality of life. So they mentioned that, grab your favorite beverage and let's imagine what life could look like if you decide to retire overseas. The first one they came out with was Portugal. They mentioned that Portugal offers coastal living with a European flair. They went on to say that they remember that the first time they'd visited Lisbon, there were something magical about the cobblestone streets winding down toward the water. People seemed genuinely happy to be alive. Portugal might be small in size, but it's huge in character. They said the cost and comfort rents can hover around $1,000 a month for 1 bedroom in smaller cities or the outskirts of Lisbon or Porto. Groceries and local produce are relatively cheap, especially when you shop at farmers markets, where fresh bread, olive oil, and wine are must-buys. With about $2,000 a month, you can afford earnings out to savor pastel de nata, the famous custard tart, and enjoy live fado music without worrying about going over your budget. And they also mentioned that healthcare in Portugal's ranks pretty high in Europe. Once you have residency, public health care becomes accessible at a low cost, and private insurance doesn't usually cost a fortune either. And I would advise you too, and I had other articles on this. I'm going to tell you something, 9 times out of 10, if you're pretty well off, you're better off not buying health insurance. What you should be doing is insuring yourself. It's funny how an insurance company doesn't mind taking the risk on you, but you don't want to do it on yourself. I was in the insurance business for years, and it's a huge rip-off business. If you've got, most insurance companies too only have about $1 million in cap. After that, you have to pay 100% on. If you've got, $5, $10, $15 million, why are you carrying health insurance? It's just a total waste of time. You should be the insurance company yourself and take that money and invest it. They want to talk about here lifestyle. Picture yourself strolling by the river Douro, or driving down to the Argive for a sun-drenched weekend. If you're always craved laid-back European vibe but thought it was out of your reach, Portugal might be the slice of paradise that you didn't know that you could afford. What they didn't mention in this article was Portugal, if you're living there, usually most countries is about 183 days a year. They're going to tax you on your worldwide income, and some of the brackets in Portugal the last time I checked, it was as high as in the 40 percentile. Now, they didn't mention anything about this in the cheap places to live. Okay, so if you're a multimillionaire and you're living in Portugal, this is not a cheap place to live. Okay, I don't care about the food, the healthcare costs, stuff like this, you're going to end up paying a lot out in taxes. That's 100%. And there's so many places you can go and get every benefit that I've just mentioned here on healthcare and cheap places to live, and the government will take a dime of your money in taxes. In fact, every country in Central America, except for Mexico, has a pure territorial tax system where you can if you make all your money outside the country, they won't tax you a dime on any of the countries in Central America except for Mexico. And that's the next country they mentioned here. It was number 2, Mexico. And they talked about here, Mexico, warm culture and a wallet-friendly lifestyle. This person that wrote the article said they had a soft spot for Mexico's vibrant colors, music, and food. It's a country so diverse that you can find beachside retreats, colonial towns, bustling metros, or tranquil mountain vistas, all at a cost that's significantly lower than in the US or UK. They didn't mention that Mexico has tax rates as high as the US. And also, when you leave Mexico, it's going to take you a while to break your ties. You don't just leave Mexico and then stop paying taxes. They have kind of a rigorous way that you are going to have to break away and not pay taxes anymore. There are forms you have to fill out, all kinds of stuff you have to do to break your tax ties. I've got clients that actually regretted living in Mexico, and I tell people all the time, don't get residency there. Or if you're going to live there, make sure you don't spend more than 180 days a year in Mexico, because otherwise you're going to have some real problems on taxes. They mentioned in the article that the cost and comfort, now let's talk about that. The rents vary by region, but many places like certain neighborhoods in Merida, you can snag a cozy apartment for $500, $600 a month. But again, you can do that any place in Central America, okay? And not pay any income taxes at all if your money's made outside the country. Now, a meal at a local restaurant can be as low as $10 US, and fresh produce at open air markets is always a bargain. Throw in a weekly housekeeper or the occasional treat yourself spa day, and you're still likely to stay within the $2,000 US a month budget. Now, let's look at healthcare Mexico. Now, healthcare Mexico is surprisingly affordable. Private facilities are modern, and many doctors speak English. You can either get private insurance or pay out of your pocket. Doctor visits might be only 20 to 30 US dollars. And I will have to admit, it is cheap to live there. But if you're going there and you're broke or you don't have that much money, this might be a great place to live. But even then, if you're making a halfway decent income, you're going to lose a lot of that in taxes. And so my whole thing is, why go there to begin with? If you're trying to build up money, you can do a lot quicker if you go to a place that's highly populated but doesn't have any income tax. And there are loads of places that you can go on that. Now, let's look at lifestyle. Pura Vida might be Costa Rica's motto, but Mexico has a similar approach to joyful living. Family, community, and celebratory meals are central to the daily life. Whether you settle in a seaside town like Puerto Vallarta or a highland enclave like San Miguel de Allende, you'll quickly discover that a relaxed, culturally rich lifestyle needn't cost a fortune. Now, whenever this person visited, they mentioned they were struck by how warm and welcoming folks were, and they once got invited to a neighbor's family gathering just minutes after meeting them. These are some things you're going to see, but the big thing is, if you're trying to avoid taxes, this is not a good place to go. So the first two they mentioned, they were talking about how cheap they are. They're very expensive when you take taxes into consideration. I would leave Portugal and Mexico totally out. Number 3 is Thailand, the land of smiles and easy living. Now, have you ever craved a complete change of pace? Thailand might be the place where you find yourself slowing down, tasting new flavors, and greeting each day with a sense of wonder. Now, they mentioned here that they had not lived there yet, but they spent some time both in Bangkok and Chiang Mai, and the affordability plus cultural richness nearly blew their mind. Now, I will say this, if I had to take a choice between Thailand or Mexico and Portugal, I would take Thailand over the other two. Thailand's got really pretty women there. Most of them don't speak good English, I've noticed. And then, you're going to also, if you're trying to look for a female that's that's your religion, if you're a Christian, there are very few Christians there. Most of the people you're going to run into are Buddhists. They have the temples there and stuff. So you're going to have to decide if you want to be in that type of environment, because it is a totally different culture. But they do tax based on funds that are remitted back into the country. It used to be that they changed the whole tax system. It used to be a lot better. Now, since they've changed it, they are hitting on a remittance type basis from day one, from the time you make it. But still, the same fact is that, it's based on remittance, not on income that you make. I do like that system better than Mexico, Portugal's got. Now, let's look at the cost. Again, the cost, you can get food for street food runs you $2 to $3 a meal, and local markets overflow with tropical fruits and homemade crafts, nearly $2,000 a month. You can also factor in occasional domestic travel to the beaches of Phuket or the hills of Pai. Now, let's look at the healthcare. Healthcare in Thailand has well-regulated hospitals, and medical tourism is a massive industry here. And they do have good healthcare there. In fact, I've actually considered doing some stuff there. I think I'm going to go to the Philippines because they're actually cheaper in healthcare for what I'm looking for in urology than actually Malaysia or Thailand. I checked both of them out. Now, private healthcare costs are still lower than many Westerners pay at home. Lifestyle, let's look at that. Now, think bustling night markets, serene Buddhist temples, and a pace of life that welcomes daily messages or massages. If that's your thing, then as a single mom who's learned the value of me time, the writer of this stated that they can see why retire in Thailand would offer a daily balance of discovery and relaxation. Now, relocating to a place like Thailand might not feel like might feel like it's a big leap, going all the way across the world if you're from Canada or the U.S. But if you're open to growth in some of the best pad Thai in the world, you might just find it to be an exciting new chapter. Now, the fourth one is Malaysia. Now, Malaysia has converted more into a taxation system like Thailand has on a remittance type basis. They've changed some things just recently. But the problem with, let me just go through a couple of things with Mexico and go up to this point I've got right here. Mexico does allow dual citizenship. They got really bad tax laws. Portugal allows dual citizenship, but they got really bad tax laws. Thailand, it's pretty difficult to get the passport. You're going to have to speak that Thai language, but they do allow dual citizenship. But it's not really a great passport. You'd be doing a lot of trouble to get that passport because you're going to have to learn that language, number one. And then not just that, but you're going to have an issue with you don't have visa-free travel to the Schengen countries. That's another thing. Malaysia is almost impossible to get the passport. This is the biggest thing I don't. The cost of living is really cheap there, and they do have a territorial tax. Excuse me, they've got a remittance-based taxation like Thailand has. But still, the fact is, I would rather go with a pure territorial tax system than a remittance basis of taxation. But it is better than being taxed on your worldwide income, no matter what money you make, like Mexico has and Portugal's got. But again, there's so many better places you can pick and not have to pay any taxes at all, even on a remittance basis. Now, the number 5 is Costa Rica. Costa Rica also, the thing I don't like about Costa Rica is they don't allow dual citizenship. They do have a territorial tax system, which is nice. But again, it's and it is very inexpensive there. It's not as cheap as Panama, and it's one of the most expensive in Central America. But again, if you want a territorial tax system and you're going to go to a Spanish-speaking country, I would tell you to go to El Salvador It's just as, in fact, it's cheaper than Costa Rica, but El Salvador allows dual citizenship, and they've got a pure territorial tax system just like Costa Rica has. If you want to know more on this, go to our website, www.citizenshipquickly.com. Just ask for some help. And folks, it would help us out tremendously on our YouTube channel. If you like our videos, give us a thumbs up. And also don't forget to hit the subscribe button on the right of your screen. You'll get new videos automatically as they come out. You get information like this. It will save you a lot of hassle and headaches instead of trying to move overseas and learn this and then find out you wasted your time. And if you want more on this, go to our website, www.citizenshipquickly.com, and just ask for some help. And I look forward to talking to you on the next video. Take care.